Episode 1. Truth or Dare. Jade, your cousin is pregnant with my child. If you still wish to save face, then stop pestering me. Your cousin is the one I love, not you. Besides, we're now together. It was only your wishful thinking and delusion. So please go away. Pester. Delusional. Those harsh words pierced through Jade's heart. After 5 years of hard work in their relationship, she had never expected her boyfriend to cheat on her or treat her with such an attitude. Back then, her family already disapproved of this relationship. Despite the fact that the others treated her like a source of money and a slut, she nevertheless chose to be with her boyfriend. And what did she get in return? A boyfriend who cheated on her with her cousin. What was worse was that her cousin was carrying his child. The continuous pain caused by this messed up situation led Jade's heart and mind into disarray. Her tears were about to flow down from her eyes as she fell on her knees, disheartened and broken. It was 11 p.m. at the bar. Jade Winslet had drunk a lot that night. "Hey, Jade, stop drinking and let's play a game." Emily, who was sitting next to Jade, pushed her playfully with a smile on her face. "Game? Sure. What game?" Jade said in a drunk voice. Emily shook the dice in his hand. "How about this? The loser will drink." "Okay." "Huh? What's the point of only drinking? Let's play something even more exciting. The loser will have to perform the dare requested by the winner. It can't be rejected no matter what the request. What do you think, Jade? Do you dare to play?" A man beside Jade interrupted her once she finished talking. Jade's heart, already broken, did not much care for anything else. "Come on, let's do it. Do you think I'm scared?" she proclaimed after the provocation by her friend. 3 threes, 4 fives, 5 sixes. "I don't believe you have 5 sixes. Open it." "Really?" The man smirked cunningly. He seemed rather confident in his certainty to win. "Open it." The moment she saw the dice, Jade regretted it. No, it was impossible. 2 1s, 3 6s, and 1 5. She lost. I lost. "Say what you want me to do. I, Jade Winslet, am a woman of my words," said Jade. "We should make this game call for even more fun today. Stand at the door and count till 10. Saying this, Jade pounced forwards with the dare. She was all ready to kiss that person who immediately walked in, no matter if that was a man or a woman, pretty or ugly. She would do it. On the other hand, a big car just entered the premises of the bar. A man walked down, and 2 others followed him. He was almost at the door when he pointed at the door. One of his men walked up to open the door for him. The man stepped in. Jade was stunned to see him. He was not someone ugly or old as she feared, but she remained silent. That man was followed by 2 other men. He looked powerful. As he stepped in, even Emily knew she failed to save her. This man was not only handsome, but also looked powerful. Jade was certainly not afraid of anything. "Bob, you've gone too far." "What do you mean? A bet is a bet. We agreed on this beforehand. Otherwise, she can kiss me too. In case she runs into a wretched old mate later." The man stared at her and said lewdly. Jade looked incredibly enchanting with her tipsy, blushing cheeks, captivating eyes, and feminine features that could bewitch any man. Just as Emily was about to pull Jade, she stood up all of a sudden, as if she was unafraid of dying. "I'll go." "Wow, I'm the star." The words immediately elevated everyone's spirit, resulting in revelry within the club. "Then we'll count them for you." Jade staggered towards the door in her drunken state. Perhaps also due to the breakup, she'd become bolder than before. Jade lowered her head, not daring to look at the passers-by, and began the countdown. 10, 9, 3, 2, 1. He had finally walked in. Jade saw a pair of black leather shoes passing by her feet. She knew she was prepared to give up everything that night. Jade lifted her head and she saw a charming, handsome man with sharp features. However, the chilling aura emanating from his presence made it difficult to approach him. She should be glad that she met a man of perfection, rather than an old or ugly man or someone. However, she could feel that this man was dangerous, and someone she could not mess with. Amelie had been drooling over this man from her seat. Damn, he's so handsome. I'd have volunteered myself if I'd known earlier. In the meantime, she waved at Jade desperately, hinting her to complete her dare by kissing him. While Jade approached this man, Amelie wondered about missing a golden opportunity to kiss such a handsome man. Jade Winslet squinted her eyes and grabbed on that man. The man turned around, without saying anything, but only gazed at her with a disgusted look. His indifferent gaze was frighteningly cold. Looking at him felt as if she was in a blizzard. Jade was slightly terrified because she had never been so bold before. Just in the next moment, she shut her eyes, held him tight, and started to kiss him. Jade had never taken any such initiative towards a man, not even towards her ex-boyfriend. However, she had no way out then. A bet was a bet. If she had not done what she had promised, she would have to kiss Bob, that pervert. That was definitely not what she wanted. Therefore, she would rather take the risk to kiss that indifferent man, even if she might be treated as a pervert. It did not matter. Jade lowered her head and pounced onto him. It's just a kiss, she muttered within herself. Get out of the way, the man uttered as he pushed Jade out of his way. Just as he was about to walk past her, he noticed that she was pulling onto him even tighter. He stared at her beautiful blushed face, listening to her vague and unclear words. He could not help but be startled for a moment. A trace of astonishment flashed through his eyes, but they turned stone cold immediately. You kiss me, and then what? The man spoke with a deep, manly voice. His calm tone, though clear, failed to produce any emotions. Jade thought that he would reject her or treat her as a lunatic. However, she did not expect him to ask such a question. Then, Jade lifted her eyes hesitatingly, staring into his lackluster eyes. Then, are you going to strip? And sex? It was hard to imagine that he would actually say such embarrassing words in such a casual manner, as if he was commenting about how good the weather was. Jade did not want to have any further conversations, as it was just to complete her mission. However, she was provoked by his words, as she heard the conversation between Bruce and her cousin, who called her a conservative woman for not willing to have sex before marriage. Therefore, she raged immediately when she heard him say that. What else can men do other than having sex? Jade yelled angrily and pulled on his arm with even more strength. Meanwhile, a trace of anger appeared on the man's stern face as he had met a lunatic. And sleep with you? Dario grinned evilly with his indifferent gaze as he winked at Jade. His deep and attractive voice whispered in her ears, and she could not help but feel something strange from it. However, she was annoyed with those words that came out from his mouth. It's just a kiss. Who would want to have sex with you? Shameless, Jade added. Why did this man keep on talking about sex? A kiss didn't mean that she wanted to have sex. What was he even thinking? Oh, if that's not what you want, get lost. Dario shoved her away coldly and continued walking forward. Get lost. Get lost? Those words triggered Jade Winslet as she felt her blood rushing up her head and her mind went blank. Immediately, she rushed towards Dario as if she had gone crazy. Because the corridor of the bar was too narrow, she pushed many people away and almost knocked the table over. Stop right there. What did you just say? Get lost. Can't you understand? I don't want to repeat myself for the third time. Dario warned her that he no longer had the patience to tolerate her. Well, she was the first woman who had ever dared talk to him in this manner. Do you think you have the right to tell me to get lost? How dare you? He told me to get lost, and you too? What if I don't want to? Do you really think I'm such an easygoing person? None of these men were good. Why were they all bullying her? That day, Bruce told her to get lost while holding her cousin's hand. And now, a stranger told her the same too. How dare he? She would not let them do as they pleased, thought Jade. It was said that those who were drunk had extraordinary strength. It seemed that it was true. I'll kiss you, even if you won't let me. Jade Winslet grabbed the man's collars yet again and leaned forward her body. The man lost his balance and fell to the ground because the corridor was too narrow. Jade took the opportunity to kiss the man on his lips, which were cold like his personality. But surprisingly, she felt nice kissing him. Everyone, including Dario, was shocked by the sudden kiss and could not react in time. Episode 2. Jade Gets Molested. When Dario finally reacted and wanted to dodge the kiss, the woman bit his lips and refused to let go. This woman was insane. Damn, he had actually met a drunkard. Dario's eyes became horrifying. While he was about to teach this woman a lesson, a warm droplet dripped on his face. The tears slowly turned cold and dried up into tear stains. Jade started crying for no reason. Dario frowned and was about to push her arms away. Unexpectedly, she started crying louder and louder until she started bawling her eyes out on his chest. Why? Why do you have to all do this to me? Why? Jade ignored her reputation as she cried. She continuously punched the man's chest beneath her while she cried. Everyone in the bar turned their gazes towards her and started gossiping. This man was no ordinary man, but a very powerful business tycoon, Dario Foster. Hey, why are you crying? Bob, it's all your fault. I told you not to go that far. Look, you've made her cry. Amelie got shocked and dashed forward to help Jade up. Bob frowned. Just, what does it have to do with me? She's the one who went for it. Jade, what's wrong? We were just joking, so I'm sorry. Emily apologized to Dario as she pulled the crying Jade back to her seat. Jade was dragged away forcefully. At that moment, she kept on shouting at Dario with a heartbreaking voice and welled-up eyes. All men are disgusting. Dario looked towards the direction they left with excitement, but it was only for a moment until he regained his composure and left expressionlessly as if everything that happened was just an illusion. Even though what had just happened was embarrassing, he behaved arrogantly. The people around him did not dare to say a word after seeing his expression. Why did they do this to me? Jade cried as she felt miserable as she recalled her past memories. All right. It's all my fault, okay? Seriously, woman, if you can't play, then don't play, Bob commented as he surrendered. However, they had misunderstood the reason for her tears. It was certainly not because of the game, but it was because it reminded her of her first kiss with her ex-boyfriend when she kissed the man. 5 years. Exactly 5 years. She had given him her heart, her time, but then it all concluded into a relationship between her ex-boyfriend and her cousin. Jade, are you all right? Don't cry. It's all my fault. Emily patted her shoulder in an effort to comfort her. Jade sniffed and wiped away her tears as she shook her head and said, I'm fine. It has nothing to do with you. It's my own problem. Jade did not blame them for any of this, as no one knew the real face of her ex-boyfriend. She was just an ordinary person, but her ex-boyfriend was a famous figure in Washington, Bruce Stevens, the only successor of Stevens Group, an affluent business family. Even if she did, no one would believe she was dating him. Meeting him 5 years ago was also a coincidence. He had given in to her, or perhaps because he was bored of playing with the rich girls and wanted to play with Cinderella. It was time for Cinderella to return to her place and for the prince to marry the princess. At this moment, Bob sat down beside her and reached for a glass of wine. With a subtle voice, he said, Jade, are you tired? Should we find a place to rest and have a drink together? Jade glanced at him and saw that he was looking at her with malicious intent. His cunning hands were only aiming to touch her thighs. Sure. She smiled cheekily as she leaned towards him and took his wine. Just as he proudly acknowledged his success, she suddenly splashed the wine on his face. Shameless. The two handsome men gaped at what just happened. Hey, Lucas, did you see? Our boss was being taken advantage of by a woman, but he didn't resist at all. A handsome guy with fashionable clothes. I'm not blind. Lucas, who was sitting next to him, looked at him indifferently and said those words as if he was thinking of something else. Why do you think that he didn't resist? All these years, there've been so many girls surrounding him like flies, but he didn't even spare them a glance. Tell me, could it be love at first sight? I don't know. Just boring. He hasn't been in a relationship with any woman in these 5 years. I thought he's frigid or maybe gay, said the other man, David. Nonsense. Lucas covered his mouth immediately after feeling a chill down his spine. As soon as Dario came over and sat beside them, the tension in the room immediately dampened and went to a complete silence. David Swan, who kept on talking just now, did not dare to say a word. He just looked at the wound on Dario's lips and tried to hold back his laughter. What are you laughing at? Dario glanced at him. David immediately covered his mouth with his hands while his shoulders trembled. No, it's nothing. Damn it! Trying to be innocent? Bob instantly flew into a rage, but in the end, he still lost in the argument and was stopped by those people. Jade was about to yell back at him, but a call came in. The surroundings were too noisy, so she had to go to the washroom to answer the call. As soon as she answered the phone, a sharp voice came from the other end. Jade, you are getting bolder by the second. Look at how many times I've called you. Don't you know who raised you? Do you have a conscience? The one speaking through the phone was her aunt. Facing her barrage of bullets, Jade had long trained her mind to be like an iron wall. In the past, she would have chosen to remain silent. But today, her aunt had crossed the line and insisted on calling her at this time because the woman who stole her boyfriend was her very own daughter. If you have something to say, just say it. Jade clenched her fist tightly as she shouted, and her face turned red, not leaving a single trace of emotion. The woman on the other end of the line was stunned for a moment. When she recovered from her shock, she immediately scolded her again. Damn you, Jade. Is this how you talk to your elders? Don't forget, your mum ran off with someone else, and your dad died. All these years, you, as well as your grandma, have been relying on our family for medicine and all other ailments. Every month you've accumulated a ton of medical fees. Nothing in this world is free. If it weren't for us, both of you would have starved to death on the streets. Jade had become tired of listening to her nagging. Her mother ran off with her father's money, and her father passed away. Although her father had left her a legacy, it had been left to her uncles and aunts at that time who raised her. They had been kind to her in the first few years, but later on, they had become even harsher towards her. They began saying that it was her father's inheritance and that she'd already used up all of it, with her now having to rely on them to survive. However, Jade knew within her that although her mother had made a fortune for her, her father still had several other companies. Thus, how could her father's inheritance deplete so quickly? Her younger cousin was with her. Because her father had become rich, she had grown up to be like a princess. Yet, she had become the person with the lowest status. It was truly ironic. Aren't you tired of talking for so long? If it wasn't for the fact that her grandmother still needed the medical fees, she would have left a long time ago. Stupid girl, have you gone out of your mind? I'm telling you, I'll give you half an hour. Come back immediately, or you'll have to face the consequences, her aunt yelled. Before she could finish her sentence, Jade hung up the phone. Afraid that she would call again, she even activated her flight mode. Just as she was about to leave, she suddenly felt dizzy and almost stumbled after her steps. It seemed like she really drank too much that day, and her drunkenness was blocking her senses. Jade looked into the mirror and realized that not only had her face started to turn red, but her lips had also turned pale. No wonder Bob wanted to make a move on her. He must have seen that she was drunk and wanted to use the opportunity to take advantage of her. She rushed to the sink and washed her face with ice water. Though she wanted to sober up, her hangover prevented her from doing so. She knew that going back there was not an option. Thus, she had to find a way to leave. After all, this was a bar. She'd better leave early. She used her cold fingers to pat her face and pinched her thigh before she staggered out. Due to her weak feet, she bumped into a middle-aged man the moment she stepped into the corridor. Damn, girl, are you blind? You even dare to hit me? The man cursed. Jade was about to apologize when the man suddenly stepped forward and grabbed her wrist. He leant his face into hers and looked at her carefully. Hey, pretty, don't worry. Come here. I don't bite. The man reeked of alcohol. He even shamelessly rubbed his lower body against her upon realizing how pretty Jade was, and began molesting her. "Get lost, you damned pervert!" Jade still retained the last bit of rationality in her mind. She struggled desperately to break free from the man's evil intentions. However, she was too weak to defend a man. "Hey, little girl, stop moving. Come, give me a kiss." Jade nearly puked when she heard a bold middle-aged man say that to her. "Who wants to kiss you, damn bastard?" Jade was so furious that she simply kicked his crotch with her knee. The man immediately let out a blood-curdling screech. "Oh, damn you, bitch! Don't run! I'll beat you to death today!" Jade took advantage of the fact that he was holding onto his crotch and hurriedly ran away. Just as she ran out of the washroom with her head down, she bumped into another person's sturdy chest. It was unknown if that person's muscles were too well developed, causing her to feel nauseous and in pain. "Oh my God, don't be another pervert," Jade added. Jade lifted her head, and her eyes met with a pair of clear and cold eyes. Her heart constricted. It was Dario again. Episode 3. Jade's First Time. "Yeah, it's that bloody woman! Get her!" shouted the middle-aged man. Before Jade could react, the middle-aged man had already chased after them, along with a few people. He was sure to teach her a lesson. In a moment of desperation, Jade grabbed onto Dario's hand and begged him, "Please, save me. That guy molested me. He's not a good person." Jade did not know why she had begged him for help. After all, she had forcefully kissed him just now, which could be tagged as an act of molestation as well. She was not sure if he would make her even more miserable, but she had already made the request. Although he looked like a cold person, she had a feeling that he was not a bad person. Dario looked at the troublesome woman before him. He spotted something strange in the corner of his eyes. He lifted his head and saw a few men chasing after her. "Just now you molested me too. Does it mean you're a bad person too? What's going on? Did you kiss him too? You've got a unique taste, huh?" Dario added. A voice full of contempt rang into Jade's ears, and she could not even stand on her feet anymore without leaning against the man before her to keep her from falling. The drink had evidently taken over her. "I didn't," Jade panted. She wanted to express her anger, but due to a lack of strength, her voice became soft and appeared to be extremely coquettish, as if she was seducing him intentionally. "If you didn't provoke him, why would he want to catch you?" For some reason, Jade's body felt even more uncomfortable after hearing Dario's seductive deep voice. She lifted her head and saw his flawless, good-looking features. I didn't provoke him. I am not a slut. He wanted to catch and molest me because I look beautiful." What was wrong with this guy? Did he really think that she's a pervert? Even if she is, she would not make a move on an ugly-looking man like him, Jade thought to herself. Dario was speechless. Jade looked at him and giggled. "What's wrong? Am I not beautiful?" Jade was not sure whether it was the effect of the alcohol or if she was doing this on purpose. Then she got frustrated and gently ran her fingers around his body as if she had nothing to lose. However, she was running her fingers on his chest, shyly and awkwardly. She took an initiative to unbutton his shirt, exposing his muscular chest. "Say something. Am I beautiful?" Jade kept on pestering him and accidentally brushed against his private part when she leaned on him. Out of her curiosity, she reached out her hand and touched it. "Hey, that's weird. Wasn't it soft just now? Why did it turn stiff? That's interesting. What's that?" Dario reached out his hand and grabbed her slender wrist to avoid her making another move. "Ah, it hurts." Jade had no idea that she was playing with fire. Dario lowered his head and looked at the drunken woman in his arms. For the first time ever, he got aroused. His lips were dry and his mouth was parched, but he maintained calm on the outside without anyone noticing it. Dario's expression darkened with a glimpse of excitement in his eyes. He whispered into her ear and said sarcastically, "Are you trying to seduce me? First, you kissed me, and now you're stripping off my clothes. Are we going to have sex next? Jade suddenly felt disgusted by his words, because she did not expect him to be such a person. Did all men only think of sex? Bob, as well as that middle-aged man who was chasing after her, and even Bruce. Certainly, Jade's experience with men was not that great so far. She always thought that they would get married in the future. Therefore, she rejected him every time only because she wanted to leave the best for after marriage. However, she did not expect herself to be a pretentious slut in the end. Isn't it just sex? Come on, who's afraid of who? Jade shouted fearlessly as she bit him on his body. At first, she wanted to hurt him, but she never expected her tongue to turn on Dario. All men were bad. Along with this thought, her frustration led her to go even further. Her father's property was taken away by her relatives, her boyfriend was taken away by her cousin, and she was abandoned by him ruthlessly. There was nothing else she could lose. Rather than being taken advantage of by that disgusting man behind her, she might as well choose this handsome man who was standing before her. Dario was slightly shocked and entranced, seeing that the woman who was touching him presumptuously. He did not refuse or play up to her action. Bloody woman, how dare you kick me? Who are you? Get your hands off this woman. I must teach her a lesson. The middle-aged man caught up and shouted fearlessly. Just as he was about to go up and pull back Jade, Dario looked at him and spoke in a cold tone. Get lost. He even subconsciously embraced her, not letting the man touch her. Who do you think you are? How dare you tell me to get lost? Do you know who I am? Get lost. Don't let me repeat myself again. Dario stared at him with his indifferent eyes. Although he did not make a move, it was enough to induce the feeling of fear towards that man. At this moment, the bar manager rushed over, looking remorseful. He nodded and bowed. Mr. Foster, I'm sorry to disturb you. It's our negligence. The man was immediately dragged out by the two security guards. Let me go. I'm the boss of Hopkins Ventures. With Dario's poker face and his dominating aura, everyone could tell that he was not a small fry. If that man was not drunk, he might have recognized him. Unfortunately, it was too late now. Mr. Swan, I hope you'll deal with it mindfully. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Yes. I'll definitely deal with it mindfully. The bar manager was scared and covered with cold sweat. He could not wait to beat up that unknowing man. The person before his eyes was the CEO of the world's top Foster Corporation. He could bring down any big companies with just a snap of his fingers. Besides, he was a friend of the boss of this hotel, which no one dared to offend. Drag him out immediately. Don't ever allow him to enter the hotel. Who cares about the boss of Hopkins Ventures? David walked over with a smile on his face after dealing with the man. Mr. Swan, don't expect me to take another step into this crappy bar of yours in the future. Facing Dario's anger, David did not feel any guilt at all. Instead, he was smiling. Mr. Foster, I think this beautiful lady is going to win you over. It seems like both of you are destined. Do you need me to lend you the presidential suite? David smiled as he watched Jade lay her hands on Dario. He obviously did not have the strength to fight back anymore, and he was glad to see such a rare scene. Get lost. Jade, on the other hand, was already in her drunken state, crazily touching every intimate part of his body. Dario frowned and suddenly felt turned on as he glanced towards Jade's bust. His eyes immediately became dull. Damn it, he cursed to himself as he carried Jade and left. David, who was behind him, gasped and shouted, Seems like it's necessary. He immediately ran up and stuffed the presidential suite card into his pocket. Mr. Foster, enjoy and have fun. David looked at Dario's figure in surprise when he left. His mouth was wide open, so much so that he could even insert an egg. Stop staring, let's go. Lucas reached out his hand and pushed his jaw back up. Hey, Lucas, did you see? He actually went into the hotel room with a woman. All these years, even if a woman stood naked in front of him, he did not faze. I think he must have fallen in love with that beautiful woman. David smiled mischievously. But Lucas wore a stern look on his face, as if he was worried about something. In these 5 years, he had sealed his heart, unwilling to open it to anyone. He had almost reached the state of abstinence. Would it really be so easy for him to fall in love? "Hey, where are you going?" "He already left. What are we still doing here?" added Lucas. "Hey, where are you taking me?" Jade began to lose control of her legs, feeling as if she was flying. "What's wrong? Didn't you say you want to have sex with me? Otherwise, why did you touch my private part? Or are you afraid now?" Dario carried her into the room as if he was carrying a chick. Episode 4. You Kissed the Wrong Place. David looked at Dario's figure in surprise when he left. His jaw dropped. "Stop staring. Let's go." Lucas reached out his hand and pushed his jaw back up. Hey, Lucas, did you see? He actually went into the hotel room with a woman. All these years, even if a woman was standing naked in front of him, he was not fazed. I think he must have fallen in love with that beautiful woman." David smiled mischievously, but Lucas wore a stern look on his face as if he was worried about something. In these 5 years, Dario had sealed his heart, unwilling to open it to anyone. He'd almost reached the state of abstinence. Would it really be so easy for him to fall in love? "Hey, where are you going?" said David as Lucas walked out. "He already left. What are we still doing here?" replied Lucas. David followed Lucas out of the room. "Hey, where are you taking me?" Jade began to lose feeling in her legs. She felt like she was flying. "What's wrong? Didn't you say you wanted to sleep with me? Otherwise, why did you touch my private parts? Or are you afraid now?" Dario carried her into the room as if he were carrying a little bird. "Who's afraid?" She kissed his icy cold lips again. This time, she did not just kiss him on his lips, but stuck her tongue in too. However, she had no idea what to do next, and just awkwardly went with the flow. Dario was once again forcefully kissed by this woman. He did not respond to her kiss, but neither did he push her away. There was a glimpse of playfulness in his emotionless eyes, as if he wanted to see what else she would do. By now, she had already fully unbuttoned Dario's shirt. She was able to see everything at a glance, especially the definition of his firm muscles. Jade started to nibble wildly on his body. Her clothes were loose, and once she bent over, he could see each and every part of her body. Jade had gotten so drunk that she had lost her last bit of sense. All she could think of was to vent her anger and take revenge on Bruce. She hated all these men to the bone. Though Jade left many love bites on Dario's body after nibbling for some time, he was still leaning on the pillow calmly. There was not a single trace of emotion on his face, as if he could not feel anything and let her do whatever she wanted. Jade was unfamiliar with all of this and was just doing what she had seen on TV. However, her awkwardness made Dario feel even more awkward. "I guess this must be her first time," he thought. Dario's pupils got smaller as the light in his eyes became more opaque. "Hey, are you impotent? Why don't you have any reaction at all?" Seeing that he did not have an erection after such a long time, Jade was getting irritated, and she blurted out these vulgarities without thinking. She hit his chest hard. Why did he still remain composed even after she kissed him for so long? Was she really that unattractive? Was that the reason why her ex-boyfriend abandoned her? Meanwhile, Dario thought, impotent? Well done. Finally, someone dared to talk back to him. Dario rolled over and pinned her down on the bed. His eyes were filled with an unknown emotion that even Jade could not read. "Do you know why I don't have any reaction? That's because you kissed the wrong part." Dario's Adam apple bobbed in his throat as he stared into her distant eyes. At this moment, Jade's blushing face, red lips, and breasts under the translucent clothes were all seducing him. Her next words triggered him even more. What? You should kiss here instead." Dario pulled Jade's slender wrist harshly and placed her little hand over his lower abdomen. Then, he felt a warm sensation from Jade's palm. Before meeting her, he thought that he would never be interested in another woman. But unexpectedly, She ignited his desire. What's that? If you want to know so badly, why don't you unzip it and see it for yourself? Dario held her hands and led her to take off his belt. Jade fiddled with it for a while, but she realized that the design of the exquisite belt was complex and impossible for her to take off. Therefore, she ripped it off forcefully. The friction of his pants and her gentle touch against his lower abdomen lit the fire within Dario even more. Can't take it off? Let me teach you. Dario squinted his eyes and looked at Jade, who was moving around on him like an adorable little bunny. Dario pushed lightly, and the belt automatically unbuckled. Then, Jade slowly took off his pants. She immediately regretted it. Jade was shocked by what she saw and tried to escape. But Dario pinned her forcefully on the bed, and she could feel that warm part around his crotch pressing against her body through her clothes. No, I don't want to see it. Jade closed her eyes in fear and felt someone undress her. At that moment, her heart sank into fear. Do you regret provoking me? I'll show you the consequences of provoking me. Dario reached out his hands and finished undressing her in the blink of an eye. Her beautiful body was extremely mesmerizing under the dim light. Then, they slept together with warmth and passion. The next day, when Jade woke up, she felt only pain all over her body. She gently rubbed her eyes, and just as she was about to get up, she noticed the unfamiliar room. Huh? Why was she not in her bed? Where is this? A hotel? Why is it freezing here? She looked down and she realized that she was not wearing anything but a towel. She then turned her head stiffly towards the direction of the bathroom and heard the sound of water running. Someone was in there. The glass in the bathroom was translucent, so she could see the outline of a huge figure. At that point, she felt like she was suffocating. What happened? Why was there a man in her room? Right, it was starting to come back. Yesterday, her ex-boyfriend broke up with her, and she went to a bar for a drink to forget what happened. Then, she lost a bet to a pervert and kissed a handsome man. After that, she even had a quarrel with her aunt. Her mood was so bad, but then she was chased by a disgusting middle-aged man. And after that, she had met another man and pressured him into sleeping with her. That's right. That about sums it up. Episode 5. Regrets. Shit. Jade reached out her hand and slapped her forehead. Damn, that was a drunken night. Was that really her? Was she possessed? She tried to recall what happened and seemed to remember that a man pinned her onto the bed, forcing her to touch his private parts. That flashback was disgusting. Oh God, had she lost her virginity? But why did she not feel any emotion at all? If she really had sex with him, she would at least feel something. She looked around for her clothes and tried to escape while he was having a shower. But before she could find them, she heard the bathroom door open. "You're awake?" said a familiar deep voice. "Ah, pervert!" Jade turned her head around and saw a drenched, naked man. It was such an eyesore, but his body looked perfect, with his 8-pack abs and that handsome face. Thinking about it, she could not help but take a peek at him. Dario's star-like pupils became even more intense when he noticed her looking. When Jade came back to her senses, the chilling aura had spread towards her. A freezing yet powerful hand pulled her hand away, and she heard a mocking whisper in her ears. "Do you shower with your clothes on? Ah, you pervert. Why don't you get dressed before coming out?" "Because there's only one towel in the bathroom?" While Dario was talking, he reached out his hands to pull off the towel that Jade was wearing. "Ah, pervert!" Jade's body felt cold since she was exposed to the air. She rushed towards the bed, wrapping herself up with a blanket. Dario toweled himself off with an indifferent expression, and Jade felt his ignorance might drive her insane. His dour gaze fell on her snow-white shoulders. He laughed to himself. Pervert, ruffian. He'd acquired so many nicknames in just a day. Not to mention this ordinary woman before him. Or was she so ordinary? Even well-known female celebrities would try their best to win him over. No one had ever dared to scold him. This was interesting. Why are you covering yourself? I've seen every part of your body, Dario said indifferently as he glanced at Jade. Huh. To Dario's surprise, she slapped him. He never would have dreamed that this woman could do such a thing. You pervert! Clear my name, you beast! Jade raised her hand while pulling her blanket more tightly around her. She was already in such a miserable state. Being humiliated by this stranger was just too much. However, she regretted it as soon as she slapped him. She was stunned at the sight of Dario's terrifying eyes. She did not even dare to breathe. Are you seeking death? I can grant you that wish. Dario pinched her chin and completely ignored the pain that she showed on her face. This woman had gone too far. Did she really think he was that patient? At that moment, she really thought she was going to die. I didn't mean it. Jade's heart was filled with terror, afraid that she would die in that hotel room. After thinking for quite a while, she realized that she was the one who took the initiative to pester him. Even if they had sex, she couldn't blame everything on him. She had some of the responsibility too. She realized that she had slapped him simply because he said something that made her feel embarrassed. Dario threw back the blanket and saw Jade's naked body revealed before him. She felt a chill and started shivering uncontrollably. What are you trying to do? Didn't you just call me a beast? Aren't I a letdown if I don't do anything to you? His skin was as cold as ice after the shower. Jade could not even feel any warmth leaning against him. In fact, she felt even colder. Last night, due to the effect of alcohol, she lost her sense of shame despite what had happened. Now that she had sobered up, however, she could feel the helplessness of being completely controlled. This man, he was even more terrifying than she could have imagined. No, Jade reached out her arms, trying to cover up her private parts, but he gripped her arms tightly and placed them above his head. This shameless position was driving her crazy. Bear in mind, you're the one who started it. Dario gripped her arms with only one hand, while he ran the fingers of his other hand over her body restlessly. Jade flinched and immediately sensed a tingle in her senses as she looked into that expressionless poker face. Take a good look at your masterpiece. Now, it's payback time. Dario pointed at the scars on his body as his movement became wilder, without any sense of care towards her. Desperate, Jade switched to another strategy after seeing that the man was going to harm her and that she could not defend herself. She stared at him with a pair of wide, luminous eyes, hoping that he would sympathize with her. About that, mister, yesterday, I got drunk because of all that alcohol. Please, forgive me and let me go. Besides, you're so handsome. Women must be lining up to have sex with you. Why do it with me? And as for the bruises on your body, they'll get better if you put on some ointment. I'll even pay for it. Jade took on a self-deprecating tone just to keep herself safe. Dario stopped and stared at Jade, who was playing dumb. At that moment, she saw a ray of hope, but it was crushed by his next words. In your dreams. Worse comes to worse, you can slap me back. Shut up. Dario only meant to tease her by violently lifting her up and spreading her legs open. However, he was turned on by her look. When he was about to put it in, Jade suddenly burst into tears. She hit him with the full force of her grievance and humiliation. Jade's tears burst forth like water from a dam, spilling down her face while she hit and scolded him. All men are brutal. None of you are good. All you guys want is to have sex with me, but I wanted to give my first time to the one who marries me. What have I done wrong? Why are you doing this to me? Bruce and this man both. Was it that hard not to have sex? Dario was feeling confused. 1 minute, she pestered him to have sex with her, and the next, she acted as if she was the victim. If she hadn't puked all over the bed last night, he might have already lost control of himself. Damn woman. Although he knew Jade was acting, Dario still felt his heartache when he saw the tears rolling down her cheeks. Episode 6. A Disheartening Encounter. Dario let go of her arms, watching her weep with his indifferent gaze. He wanted to see how long she would continue crying. Just when Jade was about to run out of tears, a call came in and saved her life. Dario went to the bathroom to answer his phone, maybe because he didn't want her to overhear the confidential conversation. Jade took the opportunity to search for her clothes, but she couldn't find them. She vaguely remembered vomiting on the bed last night. At last, she found an extravagant dress on the table. She put on the dress and ran out of the room without any hesitation, despite hearing some strange sounds coming out from the bathroom. When she reached the door, she thought for a moment and then left something behind. She then felt a chill and immediately ran out of the room after hearing the footsteps coming from the bathroom. By the time he came out from the bathroom, the room was empty. He saw a $20 bill on the bed, along with a note that said, "Money for the ointment." Dario stared at the $20 bill, and smoldering anger filled his eyes. Trying to escape? Dream on. She had actually left a $20 note for him. This woman, what did she think he was? A gigolo? Besides, he could close down any big corporation just by snapping his fingers. A night for just $20? That's ridiculous. Dario's dark, cold eyes trembled with fury. "Hey, Mr. Foster, are you going to meet Miss Monica now? Are you listening, Mr. Foster?" "Right." Dario hung up the phone without a second thought. The assistant on the other end was confused. "What? So is he going?" "Forget it. I'll just pick him up for now. His thoughts are too difficult to figure out." After Jade ran out of the hotel, she immediately hopped on a taxi and turned off the flight mode on her phone. Instantly, she received a call. "Hey, Jay, where are you? I've been calling and calling." It was Jade's best friend, Kelly. "What's the matter?" "There's a production team that urgently needs a group of background actors, only for one scene. Do you want to come?" "Of course, I'll be right there. Send me the location." Jade immediately rushed to the shoot. She was willing to take any job because that was the only way to pay for her grandma's medical fees and free herself from her uncle's family. She thought she would just be an extra in the background. But as it turned out, it was a fighting scene. That's right, the scene of her getting beat up. "All right, stay in position. Action," the director ordered. "You bitch! How dare you seduce my husband?" Slap. The actress standing before Jade gave her a slap on the face. "I didn't. I'm innocent." Jade covered her face with her hands, tears of grievance rolling down from her cheeks with a heartbreaking expression on her face. "Slut! Are you not going to admit it?" The actress's slap was as loud as a clap and stung Jade's face. "Okay, cut." The director nodded with satisfaction. "Director, I feel like I didn't do it well that time. I'd like to reshoot it. Would it be better if I really slap her this time? It should be more heartfelt." The actress smiled at the director. Jade was shocked when the director agreed after thinking a while. "It makes sense. Let's film it again." "I'm sorry, Jade. I'm doing it to have a better stage effect, not against you." The actress acted like she was innocent. Her acting skill off camera was more impressive than on camera. "It's fine. It's for the show," Jade said indifferently, walking back to her spot. The woman standing before Jade was her classmate from her acting course. Her name was Rosie, and she had always hated Jade just because their professor said Jade was the better actor. Although Jade knew Rosie wanted to hurt her, she would have to tolerate it for the money. At that moment, she really needed money. "I didn't expect Rosie to be so professional," said the director approvingly. "All right, let's film it again. Action." Rosie threw her hand forward as hard as she could, whipping it across Jade's face. The crack of skin, contracting skin, echoed off the walls, and Jade's face immediately turned red. Everyone there was stunned. Jade bore the pain, and once again read out the lines with luminous, teary eyes. However, Rosie was not satisfied. "You bitch! Oops, what's next? I've forgotten my lines. Sorry about that, director. Can we do it again?" Rosie glanced at the director, wearing a remorseful expression. "This will be the last time. The director warned her harshly. Yes, got it, director. I'll definitely do well this time. Jade clenched her fists and remained silent, knowing that Rosie was looking for trouble. Still, there was nothing she could do since Rosie was the second female lead. Even if they started a fight, no one would help her. 3 times. Rosie slapped Jade 3 times, harder and harder each time. Finally, it was over. Although the director did not know Jade's name, he still grinned at her and said, "You did well." Jade nodded to the director and left after thanking him. After Rosie walked out of the filming area, she put her hands on her slim waist, retouched her makeup and said, "I'm sorry, Jade. I didn't do it on purpose. It was to give the audience a better performance. Don't be mad." But Jade could still see jealousy and cunning in Rosie's eyes. Rosie was a successful actress, and the director had actually praised a background actress right in front of her. Jade was such a seductress. If it's just an act, why should I be mad? Jade spoke in an indifferent voice. She was in no mood for an argument. "Anyway," said Rosie after a pause, "I think you're good enough for that role. Even the director praised your acting skill. Don't worry, since we're classmates, I'll hit you up if there's another scene like that in the future," Rosie said, pretending to be kind. Kelly defended Jade right away after hearing what Rosie said. "Rosie, you've gone too far. We're all classmates. How could you do that?" Kelly stood in front of Jade and protected her with her arms. She looked at Rosie with a plaintive expression. Rosie met her gaze with disdain. "Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? An extra didn't even deserve to carry her shoes. You!" Just as Kelly was about to teach her a lesson, Jade whispered to her, "Kelly, forget it. Let's leave." Said Rosie as she put on her sunglasses. "Talking to you is degrading. See you later, extra." She walked away with her hands on her hips. Kelly shouted after her, "Damn it! What are you so proud of? Wearing a plastic face? I wonder how many times you were rejected before you became such a fancy actress. Jade is prettier than you, and she's a better actor, too." Episode 7. 1,000 Slaps. Kelly knew Jade had given up many opportunities to perform during their college years, just because she was not willing to betray herself and offend others. That's why she was still an extra. Otherwise, she would have already become a well-known celebrity. Jade looked around and covered Kelly's mouth, afraid that someone might hear. "Kelly, I know this is for my own good, but we shouldn't talk about this. What if the paparazzi caught us?" It'll be even better if the paparazzi hear. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. I still have a photo of her during college. I should send it to the media now to expose her for getting plastic surgery. She changed the shape of her face and then had the nerve to say it was the result of slimming down. My ass. All right, enough talking. We just have to live for ourselves and ignore the others. I have to go. I still have to visit my granny in the hospital. No, I have to send it. We're all classmates. Forget it, Jade said as she took Kelly's hand, then left. No one had realized that someone was watching them from the corner the entire time. The production crew. "Mr. Foster, isn't that the lady that you met yesterday?" Lucas asked him mockingly. He'd seen him walk out of the hotel room alone that morning. Lucas was Dario's personal assistant, bodyguard, and close friend. Their relationship was extraordinary. "Let's go," said Dario, pursing his lips. "Where are we going?" "To look for someone." "The lady from before?" "No, the director of the show." "What? Why are you looking for him?" Lucas thought about it. He realized that Dario had invested in the TV series and was one of the major shareholders. So, was he here to make an inspection? No, that couldn't be right. Even if he invested in previous movies or dramas, he had never paid attention to them. What was he trying to do? At first, the director did not realize that Dario was his boss because his secretary was the one who dealt with the crew all along. As soon as Lucas had explained the situation, his face turned pale, and he immediately brought the entire production crew to meet their investor. The director was wearing a smile, but then he felt a chill down his spine. When he walked towards Dario, he could feel his domineering aura and his arrogance. Even the famous director was covered with a cold sweat. "Mr. Foster, is there anything we can do for you?" the director asked politely, wiping his brow. "Where's the scriptwriter?" "I'm here, Mr. Foster," a bespectacled youth walking towards him timidly. Dario did not even spare a glance at him. He said in an indifferent voice, "Change the script immediately." "Huh? What?" The crew's jaws dropped. What? Had they misheard? "Don't let me repeat myself." Dario leaned on the sofa and glanced at the pretentious people standing before him. He frowned, feeling slightly annoyed. Lucas immediately moved toward the crew and said in a commanding voice, "What are you guys waiting for? Didn't you hear what Mr. Foster said? Can't you understand English?" The director said awkwardly, "But, Mr. Foster, we've already filmed more than 20 episodes and the show is quite popular. There should be no problem with the script. Why do you want us to rewrite the script all of the sudden?" The director's heart froze in panic. Oh no, he thought. Did we do something that offended him? Why would he want us to rewrite the script? Anyway, he thought, the plot of the series is just getting exciting. If we have to rewrite it, I don't know what I'd change. "That's Mr. Foster's order. Do it now. He must have a good reason for making such a request," Lucas explained impatiently. The director was even more confused because he could not understand what that reason could be. He forced out a smile. Just when he was about to have a discussion with the emotionless CEO, he saw Dario lift his dark, cold eyes, glance at the director, and say 3 words that instantly struck terror into his soul. "Withdrawal of investment." What? At this moment, the whole production crew was startled. What? Withdrawal of investment? Dario was the major shareholder, and if he withdrew his capital now, the previous 20 episodes would go down the drain. The worst was that he would still have to pay the actors and actresses. How could this be? "Withdrawal? Noted. I'll call Secretary Lynn immediately to make the arrangements." Lucas picked up his phone without saying a word. He didn't hesitate. His actions were as fast as lightning. Seeing this, the director rushed towards Lucas, snatched the phone out of his hand, and forced a fake smile, though he was on the verge of tears. He then walked towards Dario obediently. "Mr. Foster, I'll change it. I'll change it immediately. I'll change it into whatever you want it to be. Where's my screenwriter? Come here. Write exactly what Mr. Foster says and record it carefully. Do you understand?" The director said in agitation as he pulled the screenwriter along. Understood. May I know what Mr. Foster would like to change? Do you want to have a look at the original script?" The scriptwriter mumbled in fear. However, Dario did not even spare them a glance. Such a joke. Did he really need to ask a screenwriter just to change the script? Dario waved his hand and glanced slightly towards the screenwriter. "There's no need. Add more scenes." He smirked arrogantly and said indifferently, "Add more scenes? For whom?" The director looked despondent while wondering whether Dario was planning to bring in a new actress. However, he never expected just what scenes Dario wanted to add to the series. "The woman just now," Lucas explained without emotion. "Oh, you mean Rosie? Sure, we'll add more scenes for her. Even if you wanted to make her the female lead, that's fine too." The director thought he had understood the whole situation. Despite that, he took the opportunity to win over Dario. He triggered him. "Add some more scenes of her getting slapped," Dario said emotionlessly. "Huh?" Lucas explained. "At least 100 scenes and at least 10 slaps per scene. In order to make it more real, it has to be a real slap. Understood?" Everyone was shocked beyond belief and gazed at Dario doubtfully. After all, he was the boss there, not Lucas. Besides, Rosie might die from getting slapped so many times. Unexpectedly, Dario nodded with satisfaction, agreed with Lucas and added, "After that, simply make up a story of her dying by getting framed and murdered by another actress. Also, never hire her for any project in the future. Get it?" At this moment, Lucas, who was usually calm, suddenly felt uneasy. It seemed like the deeper he delved into Dario's mind, the less he understood it. Is he really going to torture Rosie and blacklist her from the industry right afterwards? And we can't even tell her the truth. Jesus Christ, that's ruthless. The director gulped. He was about to say something, but Dario's glance shifted, causing him to swallow back his words. What's wrong? Can't change it? No. We'll change it immediately. The director wiped the cold sweat off his forehead, immediately pulled the screenwriter along and left. Damn. I wonder what Rosie did to him to cause such a big fuss. To prevent anything bad from happening to the production crew, the only way was to get rid of her. Let's go. Dario spat out coldly. Having dealt with the matter at hand, he left. The people behind him stood stiffly as they watched him leave. They only came back to their senses once he had fully disappeared from their sight. Episode 8. Need a ride? As they were both getting into the car, Dario glanced indifferently at Lucas and saw that he was sniggering. Dario found this disgusting, coming from someone who usually behaved so rigorously. What are you laughing at? Dario asked casually while sitting in the back seat. This is the first time I've seen the great Mr. Foster stand up for someone. It's really quite extraordinary. In fact, it makes me wonder whether there may be something between Mr. Foster and that lady from yesterday. After being Dario's underling for years, this was the first time Lucas had seen him with a woman in a hotel. Dario was the kind of man who only cared about his business. Dario lowered his luminous black eyes and smiled gently. He twitched his seductive lips and said in a domineering manner, It's nothing. Just a woman who slept with me. I won't let anyone else bully her but me. Lucas felt a chill as he held the steering wheel. Had he misheard? Did he actually say he wouldn't allow anyone else to bully the woman he slept with? Was Dario still the arrogant CEO Lucas knew him to be? All these years, Lucas had never seen him care about a woman, no matter how they pestered him. He'd even seen Dario call security guards to drag away the most persistent ones. But instead of asking Lucas to deal with the lady yesterday, he chose to deal with it himself, even after she threw herself on him and kissed him forcefully. That woman sure is lucky, huh? Lucas said to himself, laughing. He knew it wasn't easy to blacklist a successful actress like Rosie, but Dario could do it with just the snap of his finger. Say another word and you're walking. Dario pursed his lips and asserted his dominance. Slept with me, he thought to himself. If Lucas found out that he only slept with that woman last night without doing anything, it would be embarrassing. Lucas's face was shocked after Dario's threat. Had he heard him right? Dario actually wanted to kick him out of the car just for that woman. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and drive. Lucas looked at him awkwardly with a fake smile. After all, he was the boss. Once they got on the street, they saw Jade at the bus stop. Lucas slowed the car down and glanced at Dario in the back seat. It was obvious that he'd already seen her, and Lucas was waiting for him to say something. But Dario didn't react. Just when he was about to step on the gas, he heard Dario's indifferent voice. Stop the car. Lucas instantly stepped on the brake. The tires screeched, and the car came to a sudden halt. He turned around and looked at Dario with a twitching face. Mr. Foster, can you please inform me earlier before asking me to stop so suddenly? The car stopped in front of the bus stop. Dario rolled down the window and saw a beautiful woman with a translucent, rosy complexion before his eyes. Jade blinked in awe. It was him. She'd been wondering what lunatic had stopped the car at the bus stop. When she saw his face clearly, she was not just surprised, but embarrassed too, especially after what had happened between them last night. She gulped. She kept whispering to herself, Please don't see me. Please don't see me, as she turned away. However, the cold baritone voice made it clear that she had been recognized. Turn around. No one has ever dared to turn their back on me, said the familiar, indifferent voice. Jade slowly turned around, and her gaze fell on Dario's handsome features. As she'd been too terrified that morning, she'd not been able to look at his face clearly. Now she realized that he was so good-looking that even women would get jealous of his features. Jade took a good look at the black luxury car in front of her. Although she did not know much about cars, she knew it must be lavish. It seemed like he was a rich man. What a coincidence. Jade lowered her head. She blushed as she remembered the sight of him coming out of the bathroom that morning, but the blush was hidden by her rosy complexion. Get in the car, said Dario, in a calm but domineering voice that she couldn't resist. The car door opened right as Jade came to her senses. She remembered the way he had treated her that morning, and she took a step back in fear. She never thought that she would meet him again, but here they were, just a few hours later. She had the worst luck. Sir, this is the bus lane. You aren't supposed to park your car here, are you? Jade glanced at the bus that was pulling in behind them. Lucas was so stupefied that his jaw dropped. He had never before seen a woman riding in this car. Even worse, the woman had actually rejected the offer. Dario stared at Jade with his cold-blooded eyes. The left side of his faint red lip tugged upwards, creating a sinister smirk on his good-looking face. At that moment, she suddenly felt her fear dissipate like fruit flies in a heavy gust of wind. But she came back into her senses the next second. You only have two choices. First, get in the car by yourself. Second, I'll carry you. Jade rolled her eyes at him, thinking that at the end of the day, she would still have to get in his car. She did not have time to chat with him here because she still had to visit her grandmother in the hospital. Jade tried to soften her voice and smiled politely at him. No thanks, sir. I'll just take the bus. Hey, sir, wait! Jade rushed over towards the bus, but she could only stare as it drove past, leaving her helpless. Just as she was about to chase after the bus, Dario's car appeared in front of her, and the bus had already driven far away. Jade stomped her feet in anger, ran up to him, and knocked on his car window. What do you want? Dario got out of the car. Jade wanted to escape as soon as she saw his long, slender legs step out of the car. However, just when she was about to run, someone grabbed her arm tightly. She turned around and saw a man who was not only handsome, but had a perfect body with long legs. He looked like a movie star, and he stood before her with an emotionless face. Jade shook her head and slapped her face, cursing herself. What am I thinking? No way. I should leave now. What's the matter? Thinking of running away after sleeping with me? Asked Dario, raising his eyebrows. His cold voice made her feel as if he could see through all her thoughts. Episode 9. You should be more responsible. Jade was drenched in a cold sweat. As Dario started talking, she remembered what had happened that morning. He had walked out of the bathroom naked, with his 8-pack abs and his muscular body. Each and every part of his body caught her attention. She thought he was even more good-looking than some models, and his tan skin could make any girl go crazy for him. And the thing beneath the black forest. Jade blushed even more as she thought about it. She then realized she was daydreaming and came back to reality. No, she must not show any weakness to him. Jade refused to give in. She shook off her arm and replied in a domineering manner. Then, why did you do that to me this morning? Even though I'm a woman, I didn't even say anything after you'd seen everything. So please, stop pestering me. He laughed to himself. So, he had pestered her? Dario glanced at her with disdain from head to toe. He lifted the corner of his lips and smiled gently, but the words that came out of his mouth triggered her anger. With a figure like yours, I wouldn't get turned on even if you stood naked in front of me. At least, that's what Dario said. Deep in his heart, he knew this woman was the first woman who had ever turned him on. Jade subconsciously covered up her breasts as she muttered, Just, so what? Besides, what was wrong with her body figure? After all, she was a D-cup, and even without abs, she still had a slim waist. This man was way too arrogant. As if, you have a good figure yourself, said Jade. Of course. Get in the car. Like I said, I wouldn't want to repeat myself. Dario glanced at her swelling red cheeks. For a moment, his heart was in conflict. When she was about to reject him, Dario picked her up and threw her into the back seat of the car. Hey, what are you trying to do, you pervert? Jade tried to get up, but Dario pinned her down. The back seat was as spacious as a bed. Thus, She felt awkward as he pinned her down. Are you talking about yourself? He was a pervert? How about the woman who kissed just anyone after getting drunk and then dragged a stranger to have sex with her? Wasn't that something a pervert would do? I'm not. Get away from me. Shut up. I don't like a woman who talks nonstop, Dario said to her in a domineering tone, frowning slightly. Who cares if you like it or not? I don't want your love. Besides, I already have a boyfriend. Jade spoke confidently, but she felt guilty. Oh, is that so? Dario's expression immediately changed when she talked about her boyfriend. Why would a woman with a boyfriend go to a bar in the middle of the night to seduce another man? And you even kissed me, touched me, and gave me love bites. Do you know what that means? The more Dario said, the more Jade blushed. Did she really do that yesterday? It seemed like it. Jade wanted to explain that it was just a game, but Dario suddenly pinned her even tighter and whispered in her ear. That means you wanted to seduce me and have sex with me. Get it? I didn't. Jade was flustered and exacerbated because she had never thought that far. It was just because she lost a game. It was that simple. Why was he reading so much into it? What's the matter? Didn't you want to have sex with me last night? Dario stared at Jade like a hunter staring at his prey. His eyes were as black as a starless night. She had nowhere to run, and his presence made her feel suffocated. Jade had never seen someone as straightforward as him. He looked serious and did not seem to be joking at all. Even with those words, he did not look frivolous. She couldn't believe she'd been flirting with him just last night. She avoided his stony stare. His gaze was like a misty swamp. The more she delved, the deeper she drowned. She took a gasp to calm herself down, sat by the car door, and said solemnly, Sir, to be honest, my friends and I were playing a dice game, and the loser had to do whatever the winner asked. I lost, and I had to kiss you. Then Jade gazed at him with a stern expression as if to tell him, Now you know the reason, so please, stop pestering me. After Dario listened to her explanation, he nodded thoughtfully. Oh, I see, it was a bet. That's right, that's how it was. You get it now, right? But you slept with me. Shouldn't you be responsible for that? Huh? What the heck? Jade almost thought that she'd misheard him. What? Be responsible? She was so pissed off that she almost fainted. Seriously, did he not comprehend her words? Why was it so hard to communicate with him? Damn it. Besides, she was drunk to the point of losing her sanity last night. Who could say whether she had wanted to sleep with him in the first place? She hadn't even asked him to be responsible for her, but he still had the nerve to pester her. Such a lunatic. Drive. Yes. Before Jade could get out of the car, Lucas had already sped away. Now she could not run even if she wanted to. Bastard, where are you taking me? I'm calling the police and reporting you for kidnapping. Jade looked out of the moving car anxiously and punched Dario in the chest. Dario was irritated. He grabbed her wrist and took out his phone with an indifferent expression. His eyes were filled with arrogance. Was she kidding? Call the police? Even the chief of police would have to pay respect to him, not to mention those underlings. Call? Jade was stupefied. As she stared at his phone, his calm demeanor made her wonder if it was a trap. She didn't dare make the call. Where are you taking me? About that, I still have things to do. Can we talk about it next time? Jade vaguely felt that he was not someone to be trifled with, so she took the initiative to surrender. However, Dario acted as if he did not hear her and rested with his eyes closed. He then pursed his lips, sat there like a boss, and simply ignored her. A few minutes later, Dario opened his eyes and suddenly shouted, Stop the car. The car immediately stopped. Get out, Dario said coldly as he opened the car door. Jade was stupefied about what was going on. Such a psychopath. He had dragged her into the car and then kicked her out for no reason. Whatever. Who wants to be in your car? Excuse me. Jade pushed Dario. Due to the placement of the driveway, she could only get out of the car from his side. However, Dario sat firmly in his position and stared at her with interest. When he thought about how bashful she had been last night, he could not help but feel slightly nostalgic. Episode 10. Ointment for the CEO. Why don't you just stay, you wretch? Dario refused to let her go, no matter what Jade did to him. He left her with no choice but to climb over him as fast as she could before the car started to accelerate. As she reached over him to grab the door, she accidentally brushed against his crotch. A heavy silence settled over them, thicker than the uneasy tension in the atmosphere. Just as Jade was about to leave this monster behind once and for all, a strong hand suddenly sprained her arm. What now? He was driving her crazy. Dario threw her a $20 note and told her in a seductive baritone voice, "Go buy some ointment." Huh? What ointment? Jade didn't understand what he meant. Then she realized the car had stopped right in front of a pharmacy. The strange thing was that his eyes had been closed the whole time. How had he known when to stop the car? Did he have another pair of eyes on his head? "You said it this morning when you were lying naked on the bed. What's the matter? Do you have dementia?" Dario said in a serious manner. Jade's face immediately turned as pale as a ghost. At that moment, she remembered that she had left the $20 note behind that morning. Damn it. Even if that's the case, can't you just ignore the details? Besides, didn't I already give you the money? Can't you just buy it yourself? Jade glanced at the driver awkwardly. She wanted to dig a hole and bury her head in the sand like an ostrich. How could this man be shameless enough to talk about this when there was someone else around? And who was the man in the front seat anyway? His driver? He didn't look like one. "It's not enough. Hurry up and buy it. Don't ever think about escaping. Otherwise, I'll break both your legs." Dario stared at her flustered little face, feeling entertained. Jade felt a chill down her spine as he was threatening her. He wouldn't really break her legs, would he? She sighed and decided to forget about it. After all, she was the one at fault. Jade cursed as she went into the pharmacy and came out on the verge of tears. What the heck? What kind of pharmacy was this? Everything was so expensive. She had to spend the $100 that she earned at the shoot just to buy the ointment. Just her luck. She was slapped for nothing. Now, not only was Jade's heart broken, but her cheeks were hurting too. As she returned to the car, she rolled her eyes at Dario. Damn, she thought he was at least a gentleman driving a luxurious car with a driver. He had seemed like a rich man, but it turned out he was a cheapskate. Dario sat in the back seat like a boss, waiting leisurely with the door open. Jade frowned, threw the bag at him and grumbled, "Here's your ointment. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving." However, just when she thought she could finally leave Dario, he grabbed her arm again and pulled her back into the car. She tried not to show any sign of the pain. "Hey, what else do you want?" Dario remained silent. He yanked Jade to his side, took the ointment from the bag, and shoved it onto her palm. "Do it." Jade was stunned. He sure was a man of few words. She was wondering how the people around him could bear it. It wasn't enough just to talk to him. She also had to develop the ability to decode whatever he was saying. Dario frowned and pulled her wrist in displeasure. He then undid another button and pointed at his chest. "Shouldn't you be responsible for what you've done? Hurry up and apply the ointment. I have no time to waste," he said in an overbearing voice without giving her a chance to refuse. Her eyes were wide, and she stared at him in shock. She was even more shocked after he finished unbuttoning his shirt. The scars covered his muscular chest like 100 silvery pink snakes. "What do you think of your masterpiece?" Dario's indifferent tone made her unable to tell how he felt. It was like he'd been born without emotion. Jade gulped as she took in his muscular chest and figure. It was her first time being so close to a man with a perfect body. At the same time, she was also cursing herself. Also, was she really the one who created the scars? Jade took out the ointment and carefully applied it to the wounds on his chest. She tried to get it over with as fast as possible, but then she heard that same cold voice in her ears once again. To her, this man was like a nightmare. "Do it properly. Don't be lazy. There's still more in there." Dario smirked while watching her apply the ointment to his chest. Jade's eyes widened until they looked like black pearls. "What did you say?" "Stop your nonsense and hurry up." She bit her lips and did not dare to resist. All she wanted was to leave this place as soon as possible, and the only choice she had was to do what he said. Her hands were trembling as she reached towards Dario's chest. Although she'd been intimate with him the night before, she was completely drunk and had no memory of it. Also, the alcohol had made her less awkward during the first encounter. Now that she had completely sobered up, she felt embarrassed. Even through the ointment, she could feel the warmth of Dario's skin beneath her fingertips. She gently applied the ointment over the scars, and each touch was extremely cautious. She took more than half an hour just to apply the ointment to his chest. Although Lucas seemed like he was sitting calmly in the driver's seat, he was inwardly shocked. Dario could earn millions of dollars in a single minute. He never wasted time on anything meaningless. But here he was, spending so much time with this woman that he seemed to forget about his business. Dario was getting slightly impatient, so he pulled her hand forcefully and pressed it against his abs. "Hey, you're too slow. Are you doing it on purpose? Apply it faster." As he spoke, he put his hand on hers. Their hands began to move back and forth on his body, and his breath got heavier. The ventilation in the car was already bad, and such intimate behavior made Dario feel a rush of heat to his head. Jade's warm breath brushed his skin and made him feel slightly ticklish. Dario's dark pupils contracted. He studied her expression, cautious yet shy. His breathing started to get even more intense. His body had slowly started to heat up, too. Once again, he was losing control in front of this woman. Jade leaned against him and applied the ointment to his chest. Because they were so close, she could feel Dario's breath on her when he lowered his head. She then rubbed her eyes with the back of her hand. As her eyes became glossy and trembled a little, she bit her pale, pink lips seductively.